Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today, with almost the entire undersill removed from the car, I can finally move on to something more interesting, because clearly that job started boring me out of my brain. So the fun part is I've never done any metal work before. So full disclosure, I'm not a professional. I've never touched metal in my life, so it's gonna be quite challenging, but I think I'll manage. So without further ado, let me introduce you my very first patch panel, and I made it last weekend with just a hammer, well, two hammers and basic vise. This is a 1.2 millimeter thick mild steel, nothing extraordinary about it. I just bought a whole sheet and I've been practicing, and I actually quite happy with that. I thought that the seal would be really hard to make because it's got, like, if you can see, it's got a curve, and this hand got this more like an L shape. And yeah, it was sort of challenging at the beginning, but I think I nailed it. Basically the whole trick is to make the outer end, the end that goes to the arch, just flare out a little bit, so this way it fits. And actually I didn't even plan to make this curve. It's not like perfect curve, but it's close enough. And yeah, I'll show you how I made the other side, and probably you can learn something along with me. But today, along with this panel that you'll see in a second, I'm gonna be making something different. And I've been trying to make a patch panel for that area for a couple of days now, and I think I'm getting there. Just bear in mind, I never done it before, so I'm learning. Let me show you. This is the part that, well, this is, let's call it prototype 1, and for you to understand where it goes, we will need to go again to our usual place, which is under the car. So welcome. My greatest enemy. I don't know what the actual name for this part of the car is, because it's kind of part of the seal, part of the rear end, and I know, just to illustrate how bad it actually is, you can see the scissors and they disappear. So this is the hole that shouldn't be here. That's to begin with. Then there's very thin metal that I tried to stitch weld. To be honest, it was completely pointless. It's all rusted out. Yeah, you see, it's just falling off, and it's really thin. So, and this is where I think these two panels are joining together. And I was planning to make a patch panel that would sort of reinforce this part of the car. And what I mean by reinforcing, I wanted to make like a bracket that would just go in here, reinforce the pinch weld, reinforce this pinch weld, and again join these two panels together with much healthier metal. And let me show you how it went. Well, my first go at this. So when I just started, this is my very second panel that I've ever made after the seals. So I decided to make it out of the whole piece without any welding, and the problem with that is that the shape of this panel, actually two panels, is not that simple. I got my template here, which I made, and let me show you how it works. So basically, you've got these two holes that are for the stay bracket or kidney brace, whatever you want to call them. This is where it actually mounts. So if you can see, this thing is straight, and if I put it close to the pinch weld, see how much play it actually has. So there is a bend, but it's not bending in one direction. It's like it's bending in more than one axis. So it's sort of, it sits like this. So it's tilted this way and then this way. So that's why it's so tricky to make it. And obviously my idea was to not only make a patch panel that covers this section, but I also wanted to cover this little hole and sort of make the pinch weld a little bit thicker. So my initial design was to kind of reinforce this side, move this side on top, so kind of fold it over, and then make another fold over here, so to kind of tie it all together and make it like really, really strong. In theory, it's fine and dandy, I think, but the problem is, with my limited tool set, it's really hard to bend the metal, and even though it's not a very thick metal, it's just 1.2 mil, the problem is when you start making these bends, bending the metal in, say, not along the line, but perpendicular to this crease, is getting really hard. So having all these bends makes it a nightmare to make it align with all the points that I want to reinforce. So it's kind of wobbles around. Like if I put it this way, where it sits flush with the panel over here, I got a big gap here. If I put it that way, that there is no gap here, I'm getting a gap here and here. I've been beating on this panel for a couple of days trying to make it fit, and probably just my lack of skill or knowledge or something, it just didn't work for me. So I decided to step back and make another panel. I also made another template that basically would align with these holes for the kidney braces, and after that I'll be able to, like, for example, this area, it's a little bit tricky because it bends. It's got like a very slight bend, which will be really hard to recreate, considering that we need to already bend this panel at an awkward angle that just goes this way. So I decided to cut the pinch welds out, and weld them later. This way, it's not ideal, it's not perfect scenario, but in my case it's the easiest way to go about it. It shouldn't really like detract anything from the actual like strength, hopefully. Again, this is very theoretical area for me. I'm not 100% sure, so take everything that I say with a massive pinch of salt, like a mountain of salt. So and you can correct me in the comments. So I decided to make this template, and this is what I've got. I incorporated the pinch weld into this, like this pinch weld, because I thought, well, it might be just
easy because I have only one crease here, so it wouldn't be that difficult, but it's still kind of difficult because even like this pinch weld, it's not straight, it's angled. You can see this end is much narrower than this end, so it's kind of flares out here and it's not at 90-degree angle, it goes up. So it's a very tricky area, especially for a beginner like me to tackle. So, but we don't have any other, well, I don't have any other options, and still it's kind of fun to learn new things. Well, so with this panel I'm getting close to the right position, so I just again it's slightly off due to my miscalculations and wrong measurements, but I'm getting there. But I decided to, this is 1.2 thick, and I thought maybe I'll be able to make it out of I've got a sheet of metal that is a little bit thicker, it's 1.5. Reason being that I'm not sure if you can see it on camera, but the mounting point for the kidney braces, it's basically like insert nuts, and they're welded in inside this panel. So inside this panel there is another panel that holds the insert nuts, and what happens is with time they got corroded, they just basically rust away. So in some cases when you're trying to undo these bolts, the nut will just shear off and start spinning. So the only way to go about it, you'd have to cut the bolts. And how to repair them? So in my case they were still there intact, but they was already like, I put screwdriver inside it and kind of I felt that they wiggle about a little bit, so I thought I'll just put some tacks around it. And well, if you watched my previous videos you know that I sort of screwed up the threads inside a little bit, so I'm gonna retap them again. Not too big of a deal, but it's not ideal. The inside panel is sort of thin and my tacks aren't perfect, so I think even if this area will fail and they'll come off eventually at some point, what I'm thinking, having a much thicker panel here, I would be able to make new inserts. Just I would drill these out, put new inserts, like new insert plate like right here, and weld it along here. So it's basically creating a new point to hold the kidney brace, and being like quite thick, I think it should be enough for the kidney braces to hold on to. But again, I'm going ahead of myself. My plan is to remove the kidney braces entirely, but it's a different video I'll explain later. Actually, I've mentioned it briefly. I want to create my own W brace with the kidney braces. Different story for another video. So today we will try to make a patch panel for this little thing out of 1.5 metal, using just metal. Using just metal. Yes, obviously we will use metal. Using just a pair of hammers, really good price, and our widths. So let's start hammering. So the panel will go like this, but you can see this is where this pinch weld kinda goes, so we need to bend this side along here, and this way it will come up here. And now also we need to yeah, I forgot about this. We need to bend this little flap or tab. I don't know how you want to call it, but call it whatever. We need to bend it upwards just to make sure that it doesn't catch on this pinch weld. So now, having these tabs bent, I can test fit the panel, and I should say it's pretty much on the money. Now is the tricky part, because you see the panel is dead straight. I mean, as straight as it can be, but when I align it with the pinch weld, which is also straight, you see how much play there is in the panel, and this is where this awkward shape comes in. I need to find a way to kind of conform it to this like really awkward shape, so I need to kind of curve it inwards, go up here. That's why I decided to not to kind of incorporate this section into this panel. I will later. I'm planning to weld in like another piece here once I kind of once I'm sure that it fits perfectly, that the shape is accurate, and I will be able to weld it perfectly. Well, let's try and see what we'll have. And well, I think we can start with just hammering it on the car. I don't think it will take us anywhere, but we can try. Okay, I don't want any rubbish in my eyes, so protective goggles. Well, it's kinda it's working, but not very great. So I'm not sure if you can see. I can take my Sharpie. But basically, I think that we need to bend this panel along this imaginary, well, no, it's not imaginary, along this line, so kind of bring it up here a little bit. This way it should create this curvature, I hope. Let's try this. Let's try this theory out, because I don't see any other ways. I will try to bend this panel just a little bit. We don't need a huge angle along this line. And probably will just use my hands to better control the feel of the actual deformation, if it makes any sense, because the metal is much thicker. It's getting hard to bend it the way I want it. Use this. Yeah. So this is our initial assumption about the curvature. You can see it's crease forming. It's a little bit off. I wanted it to be along this line so that this edge and this edge, well, angle, whatever you want to call them, would kind of be parallel. Will it fit? Will it not? We'll find out in a second. Well, I don't need this glove. And it does fit. Let me bring you closer, and if you have a closer look, you can see that the holes are aligning fine. We have nice tight gap there. We have a little bit of issue going on here. I think it's like 3 mil gap going on there. Now I already drew the lines here. It's where the next bend will happen, so we just need to close this gap and then work the metal up there just to fold it upwards. Genuinely surprised that this third time we kinda got right in, and I think it's down to measuring it twice, or actually in my case 5 times, and cutting it once. Again, this is not like professional work, I think a proper Dutch panel, but I am happy with what I have, and for an absolute beginner I think it's quite good. So let's just continue our journey. Let's just make all these bands. Actually, let me put some more guidelines. So this little bit will be folded up here, and then we need to kinda, it's not straight actually, but use a line. Actually, I'll go use this line as a guide. So I'm using the inside to trace. If you see, it's not quite straight, it goes at an angle. That's why I think my initial panel was so messed up, because I was trying to make straight lines, and clearly it's not the way to go, because it's not straight, it just goes like this. Yeah, you see how much difference there is. So yeah, so yeah, the line is very thick, so I'm gonna be using the outer edge of this line. That's the reference point. Okay, let's go back to the vise. I found the first difficulty when I'm bending along this line. This tab is catching over here, so I need to, you can see it's not, again, this pinch weld is not straight, it's keep curving along this line, and it's become straight around here, it's becoming straight around here. So you see the problem I'm facing now is when I'm bending along this line to close this gap, I creating another point of interference. So basically I can just cut a small angle from here and it should work fine, I suppose. That's probably what I will do to just save myself a little bit of time. So currently I'm just gonna hit this tab a little bit more so it bends inward, just to make sure that I first get this gap done, then I'll think about cutting this. Well, I think I can call it a success, sort of. If you look around, pretty much every gap is, well, there's still a little bit of work, but it's not bad. And in terms of the holes, I think we lost this one a little bit, but because I'm gonna be drilling these holes much bigger, it's not that big of a deal, to be honest. But the rest is spot on. I just need to weld another piece here, and well, we can call it a day and move on to the other side that hasn't been touched yet. Ugh. No, you can't see anything. Well, not too bad for a complete beginner, I think. Oh, but by the way, one small detail. I made this band right on the car, so I just put the plate against the metal and just gave it a few taps with the hammer, and it folded nicely. So one patch panel to fix all this nastiness is ready.
Well, just 1 hour later I've got second panel done, and as you can see they're, well, quite symmetrical, if you want to call them that. I mean, they're not identical, but I mean, it's close enough, and they will do the job quite nicely. As you saw, I didn't use anything fancy, just very basic hand tools. I hope it will be useful for anyone who wants to start doing stuff like that. It's very simple to begin. You don't need a huge tool set of expensive gear. It's basically buy yourself some scrap metal and a few hammers and just play around with that. The rest of the car, I think the most like basic panels I'll do off camera, but stuff that is a little bit more tricky I'll dedicate like separate videos to. Yeah, I think this is where I'm gonna wrap it up for today. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing and liking the video, and take care, and see you in the next one as usual. Have fun crafting your own stuff.